Drashtuh. Another very important word, it's actually one of my favorite words, I enjoy it tremendously, is Drashtuh. Drashtuh. Remember we talked about vrittis, the fluctuations or the little waves on the surface of the lake of the mind field called chitta. And we talked about the definition of yoga, and remember we're talking about these core principles as a foundation so that when we get to the actual discussion of the 8 rungs themselves, the Ashtanga, it will make more sense. And so the definition we said of yoga is yogas chitta vritti nirodha, and it had something to do with just choosing one choice of words for nirodha. It had something to do with setting aside all of the fluctuations in the lake of the mind field that I am not. If we set aside just momentarily, if you're having just a deep, deep meditation and somehow you're able to set aside all of your attractions and aversions and false identities, then what happens is, here's the next principle, tada drashtuh svarupe avastanam. And in the middle of that is this word drashtuh. The word drashtuh literally means seer, the one who is seeing. Now the use of see or seeing here is being used as a metaphor. It's only a symbolic word. It's not meaning literally that we care so much about the sense of sight. But it's being used because the seer, we could also use the word witness, but that word witness is not the word that's being used there. Well, you could use a fancy word, a Sanskrit word for consciousness, such as Atman or Purusha, which means pure consciousness, the center of consciousness. But that's not the word that is used in the Ashtanga Yoga tradition. The word that is used is Drashtuh. And so to me, it's a beautifully, beautifully chosen word because it's not giving a definition. It's avoiding giving a definition. If you say, well, then you know Atman, then it begs the question, well, what is an Atman? Can you explain to me what that is? And so it can end up with confusion. But it's an artfully chosen word that says, whoever is left, whatever the witness or seer, literally seer, the seer is what is left, and it rests in its own true nature, just standing alone. Sometimes this is called self-realization or enlightenment, or if you say it in a theistic way, it's God consciousness or Buddha consciousness or Christ consciousness. Different words are used for that. But the reason I so much like the word Drashtuh is that it avoids all of those topics which could be very, very controversial. And different people have different spiritual, religious perspectives, different belief systems. And so it artfully avoids falling into the trap of those kind of debates. Drashtuh is simply whoever the seer is when you set aside, nirodha, everything that you are not, even for a few seconds, then what is left is who you are. And that's the Drashtuh, the seer, the one who is sitting here back here seeing through the process of seeing all of what's out here. There's a seer back here seeing through a process what's out here. And when we do nirodha and we set aside everything, or let go or coordinate and all that kind of stuff, all of the vrittis that are in the chitta, when we do that, then we succeed in the Drashtuh standing alone on its own. The seer back here is standing alone on its own. And then we can call it whatever we want. We can call it enlightenment or it doesn't matter what we call it. God consciousness, doesn't matter. Or just simply don't give it a name at all, just call it Drashtuh, then the seer. Drashtuh. Isn't it a fun word?